And now we are recording. So again, I'm Cynthia Kane, really happy to be here with you. What I usually like to do in these presentations is go over a fairly general yet targeted overview of not only how to navigate the library's homepage so that you can do your research. I'm also going to be focusing on a very specific database that most of you are going to be using for your classes beginning with your cohort group this semester, and it's called Library and Information Science Source. I'm also going to show you how you can navigate the Libraries and Archives catalog to find different books, and I did hear Dr. Howard mention about some ebooks that we do have available as textbooks. In some of your SLIM courses, as she mentioned, we're able to secure unlimited access, and so you have an opportunity to use a textbook for a specific course online at no charge. For others, if we only have a limited number of users, it might be easier for you to go ahead and buy the book. But I'm going to show you how you would access those as well for future SLIM courses. I'm also going to show you how to do interlibrary loan, because as ESU students, no matter where you happen to live, you have access to interlibrary loan to have articles that are not owned physically or online through William Allen Light Library. You can have those delivered to you freely as PDFs. I'm going to show you how to do that as well. And then I just also want to field any questions from both groups on anything that looks unfamiliar. I'm going to warn you, you may feel a little bit overwhelmed by the time I finish. Please do not feel that way. This is a very general overview. Mainly it's just designed so that when you have to do research for your SLIM classes from now on, you can say, okay, I kind of remember what Cynthia talked about in terms of navigating, databases to use, doing PDF full text, and so forth. But again, follow up with any questions. This is what I'm here for. So what I'm going to do at this point is start sharing my screen. And I'll probably pause to make sure everybody can see where I am going to. So you're actually going to see a screen first that says launch meeting, but I'm going to change this. Okay, for the Colorado group, are you seeing a screen that says Emporia State University Libraries and Archives?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so first thing I want to point out, do you see that rather long and cumbersome email up there, or that link, that URL? Okay, don't write that one down. That actually is a redirect. At the beginning of last semester, Emporia State actually embarked upon a project to revamp all of the pages on their website. And that actually took effect in the middle of last semester, in the middle of the fall 2019 semester. As a result, our address for the library's website and how you get to our library's website actually changed. So the first thing I want you all to feel comfortable and familiar with is how to navigate, and quite literally how to get to Library Connect, which is now what we call our ESU Libraries webpage. This is where you're going to be actually launching all of your different searches. So one way of doing this, I'm going to go ahead and open another tab so that you can see what I'm doing, is to go to www.emporia.edu/library. I'll leave that up for just a second. You all might want to bookmark that on your computers or on your laptops or tablets. And if you have your laptops with you, you're more than welcome to follow along with me. But you want to go directly to www.emporia.edu/library. And when you do that, there is the library's webpage. It does redirect to a Google Sites platform, and that's why that URL actually changes. Now, that's not the only way to get to the library's webpage. I happen to think that it is the easiest way because it takes you directly to it. You don't have to do anything else. However, I do want to show you something else. So let's say that you are just at the main ESU webpage. If you scroll down to the very bottom of the page, you're actually going to see a couple of links. And the first link you're going to see is way down here for Libraries and Archives, but also back up here, you're going to see a link that says William Allen White Library. Now, you can easily click on either of those links. However, I do want to show you what's going to happen when you click on either of those links. Both of those links are actually going to take you first to more of an external communication or marketing site that will tell you about the libraries and archives. So you see it looks a little bit different than what I showed you on the library's webpage, the Library Connect. So if you happen to do this from the main ESU webpage, you want to do one more click here to Library Connect. And then that will take you back to that. So the only difference is if you're at the main ESU webpage, it's actually 2 clicks. You click on William Allen White Library or Libraries and Archives first, then click on Library Connect. This has been kind of a learning curve for a lot of students, and I just really want to make sure that everybody is very comfortable and familiar with that. I'm not going to show you this right now, but I will tell you that if you are already in Canvas, in one of your Canvas courses, such as LI801, you may wind up seeing a link in Canvas that says Library and Archives. If you click on that link, that's actually not going to lead you directly to the library's webpage, but it's going to lead you to a Canvas portal that we have created that's called Academic Library Resources. And that's where we're linking a lot of tutorials for a lot of different programs and resources, and it will also get you to the library's webpage. But I'll be very frank with you, I do think the easiest way is just to do www.emporia.edu/library, and you're good to go. So this is what this is going to look like. And what I'm going to do is focus on the Libraries plus Archives catalog, and then I'm also going to focus on this link for databases. And I'm actually really happy that I'm here in Overland Park and also doing this for you all in Colorado, because since I'm not on campus, I'm going to be able to show you exactly what you will see when you're doing this search. When I do Zoom sessions at home, I always do them from my home so that I can also replicate off-campus access. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and click on this big icon here, this large one, Libraries plus Archives Catalog. Okay. And again, in Colorado, are you all seeing my screen okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Good, good, good. And just let me know if something does happen and you don't see that anymore. So this might look a little bit overwhelming. I don't want it to, because this is actually our library catalog for books, but it also does a lot more. If you do a search in this particular portal, which we also call our discovery search, you will get books that are owned by the library. You will also get ebooks, but you will also get actually quite a few articles. I'm going to be, again, really straightforward with you on what works best. I would not use this portal, the discovery search, to search for articles, even though I just told you that articles are in there. And the reason is that this is actually called a discovery search. You're going to be learning about this a lot more in your other SLIM classes when you start taking classes such as LI804, Organization of Information. We're actually using a discovery service called EBSCOhost EDS, Electronic Discovery Service. It's an overlay, and it actually enables us to bring in a lot of different databases that are owned by the library into more of a discovery search or a federated or an aggregated search. This is both good and bad. It's good because you get a lot of articles. It's bad because you get a lot of articles, and it can be very difficult sometimes to narrow and focus to what you need. So I tend to use this when I want to actually find known items, or I really want to see if we've had any books. I'm going to stop too before I forget. Those of you both here in Overland Park and also in Colorado, any of our distance education sites, if you find a book in print that is owned in print by William Allen White Library at the Emporia campus, you can actually request that that book be mailed to you, because it would be checked out to you as an ESU student and it would be mailed to you. So please do not feel like you would not have access to that. Now, you may also want to use some of your local libraries, but just in case, you can have that mailed to you. You had a question?
So
Yes.
how do you mail it back?
Oh, that's a really good question. Question is, how would you mail it back? It will be mailed to you with, I think it comes with an actual mailing label. You would be responsible for paying the postage back. However, you can also renew books online or through our email if you would need to renew it for a longer period of time. It's a good question. You also might check, though, because our library for the Overland Park group, our library is on a courier system, and if you have basically an account with your local library, you might check and see if their courier would actually take books back to William Allen White Library. Not all of them do, but I don't think it would hurt for you all to check that as well. And if they do, then you could just drop it off and then the courier would bring it back to the library. So what I'm going to do here is actually a rather broad search, but again, I want to show you how you could find different books, both in print form and e-form, and then we're going to go to the Library and Information Source database, and I'm going to show you a little bit more on how you can find articles and how you can identify whether they're in full text or not. I'm also going to show you a little bit on how you can generate citations in APA style, because you all will be using APA to write your papers and do your different projects. So again, I'm in the Discovery search. I want to do a broad search on actually one of my research topics. Because as Dr. Fay mentioned, I both am an instruction librarian and an assessment librarian. And I am particularly interested, I also do a lot of library instruction for undergraduate students. And so I'm always interested to see if I can find out more information about if our undergraduate students are actually getting what they need through library instruction. Are they learning? Is it kind of going over their heads? How can we actually assess and evaluate if they're learning what they need to do or not in terms of information literacy? So I typed in a very broad search of library instruction and assessment, and I'm going to go ahead and search. And I'm really glad I did this search in more ways than one, because this is going to let me show you what will happen. Remember I warned you? See that 592,000? Oh my gosh. That's because I'm searching both books and articles. What I would like to do actually is narrow my search down to what ESU would have in terms of print books, but I can also narrow it down in terms of ebooks. And you notice we did have some ebooks that popped up on that first search, but I really wanted to narrow that down a little bit more to what we had in terms of ebooks, because for you all here in Overland Park and in Colorado, that's probably going to be what you would want to access. You want to be able to read those online. So with our ebooks, we have many ebooks that come through a database called an ebook collection through EBSCOhost. That actually means that if I click on the PDF full text, I can do a couple of things here. Okay. Now, for those of you that are in Colorado, you might have seen a link up here toward the top of the screen that maybe said, "Hello guest, log in for full access." If you see a link like that, and this would be what I would get if I were at home as well, I would need to click on that and I would enter my ESU username and password, and you all would do this if you were at home as well. That just simply authenticates you as a currently enrolled ESU student. You will get that link whenever you click on any databases as well. So now, a couple of things I can do on here. If I am comfortable just reading that book online, and a lot of you may be comfortable with ebooks if you have access to them through your local library. I read a lot of ebooks through the State Library of Kansas, and I have them on my Kindle, so I love being able to do that. I can just read this online, and there's no limit to what I can actually read. However, depending on what your preference is, I worked with a student last week who actually preferred to be able to download or check out the ebook because she needed to be able to enlarge it on her laptop, because we really can't do that on here. So I'm going to bring your attention to something over here, and this kind of relates to what you were mentioning, Dr. Howard, for the Colorado class. This particular one, Critical Library Instruction Theories and Methods, this is telling me over here that I could print or email or save a maximum of 100 pages. So I could save a chapter or print it out or email it to me. This is a limit that's set by the publisher. We do not set this limit. We get a lot of questions on that. Now, this particular one actually has an unrestricted download. What that means is that, I'm going to go over here. That means that I could not really download the book permanently, because publishers don't want you to do that. it would actually be a download of checking out that book probably for a maximum of 14 days. And then I would no longer have access to that book. I'd have to go back and download it again. However, with this particular one, it says that there are unlimited copies available. So if I had this as a textbook for a class, or if Dr. Fay or another SLIM professor assigned this one to you, basically we would have an unlimited access if you wanted to download or check out this book. You don't have to, but again, you could. I'm going to show you all how you would actually do this, because this is the part that I think is a little bit more cumbersome than it needs to be. I'm going to go over here to full download. Okay, and in Colorado, are you all seeing something in the middle that says download ebook, borrow?
Yes.
Okay, you're seeing that, great. Okay, this is the part that looks a little bit confusing because it says, please sign in to my EBSCOhost account to check availability and download. This is something I'm going to show you all right now because it actually is something that connects with library and information science source for that database that we're going to look at a little bit. So my EBSCOhost account, that basically is a way that you can check out this book for 14 days, but it's also a way on different EBSCOhost databases. These are databases that are from EBSCOhost. Your EBSCOhost account from different databases will also let you save articles. It will let you create citations. It will actually let you save a search history. I'm going to show you that in a little bit as well. Very powerful to be able to do. So I'm going to click on Sign In, Create Account. And we'll wait for that to do its thing. And maybe it's a little bit slow. Sometimes it's just a little bit slow. So what will happen, hopefully, within the next few seconds, is that I would get a screen that prompts me to sign in or create an EBSCOhost account. And again, that might be a little bit slow right now. So, there it went. Just as I said that. That was magic. Okay, so you can actually click on Sign In with Google. Because you all have a g.emporia.edu account as your student email account, it's like a Gmail account, basically is what it is. And if you signed in with your g.emporia.edu account and password, you've created an EBSCOhost account. So you don't have to create anything different. I'm going to go ahead and sign in because it also works with my C. Kane. Actually, this is going to be a good opportunity to show you my email address. So my email address is ckane, K-A-N-E, 1 at emporia.edu. And like I said, don't hesitate to email me with any research questions, and I'd be more than happy to help you with those. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click on Next. And it's going to prompt me to enter my ESU password, so you can do the same thing with your g.emporia.edu account.
Cynthia, we're in Colorado. This is Dr. Howard. We're having trouble signing in. We get a 401 or 404.
Okay, let's see if I'm getting that too.
Well,
That's not.
Where it's not. Here's where you do different.
Okay, so what I would have to do, since I'm on a new computer, I would have to go ahead and get a verification code and log in. And in the interest of time, I'm not actually going to do that, but I'm just going to click on Never. So again, if that decides that it's going to work on your end, and I will actually check on that as well, that would let you then go ahead and check out the ebook if you want to download and check that out. The other thing you would have to do, and I actually can show you this, I'm going to go ahead and go back over here. In order to read an EBSCOhost ebook, you actually have to download Adobe Digital Editions as a free software download. So I've done that on my computer at work, and so I can go ahead and download that ebook and then read that offline for 14 days. It's a little bit more cumbersome, that's the thing. And I will send you all these instructions as well so that you would have that just in case it's something you would want to do. Like I said, I'm going to go back over here and go back and back and back again.
What was that Adobe product?
It's called Adobe, let me pull that back up again, Adobe Digital Editions. Mm-hmm. And it is, interestingly enough, if you get to the point that you're ready to download an EBSCOhost ebook, it'll ask you if you want to download it as a PDF, which you do. The assumption would be that you could just go ahead and use Adobe Acrobat Reader to read it. That's the kicker on these EBSCOhost ebooks, though. You still have to install Adobe Digital Editions in order to be able to read the book, as opposed to Adobe Acrobat. I do think it's a little bit more cumbersome, but again, I wanted to let you all know that is a possibility if you ever wanted to download and then check out an EBSCOhost ebook from the library. Okay. And Dr. Howard, thank you for letting me know about that, because I'll check on that 404 error. We don't want that to happen.
Okay, actually it was a 401.
401, okay, 401, okay. I will check on that.
Hey, thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so like I said, I just kind of wanted to spend a little bit of time on that because I actually want to switch back over to the Library Connect page and spend a little bit more time on showing you all different databases for library and information science. So I'm going to click on databases, and I'm sure that by this point in time that you all have used different databases for undergraduate work to find articles and then to do research. And you probably have used, if you have, you probably have used maybe more general databases, maybe more for undergraduate work. If any of you have done any other graduate work or postgraduate work, you might have used some that were a little bit more subject specific. What we're going to do now is click on all subjects, and I'm going to go to Library and Information Science. And that's where you're going to see my lovely caricature. I had that done at an ALA conference a number of years ago. I just really like that, so I just left that on there. And again, down here you'll see CKane1 at emporia.edu. My direct line is 620-341-5480. And of course, you can always leave me a voicemail if you need to. And we're not going to go through every single one of these databases because a lot of them will make a lot more sense when you get to the point that you're ready to do more advanced research. I'll tell you a really quick example here. A lot of you may be interested in children's literature or young adult literature, and that might be something you'd want to specialize in. If you are ever doing a special project for any of your SLIM classes for children's literature or YA literature, Children's Literature Comprehensive Database would be one that you could use because that's going to give you book reviews and related information about children's literature and YA literature. It would help you put together like a curriculum or like a library guide or a research guide about recommended resources. So, like I said, I'm not going to go through every single one of these because these are all a little bit different. I do want to highlight this one, though, Encyclopedia of Library and Information Sciences, because probably in LI810, Research in Library and Information Science, and in other classes as well, you may be asked by one or more of your SLIM professors to find a specific article from the Encyclopedia of Library and Information Sciences. I get a lot of questions on this one. It's through the databases. So it actually is an encyclopedia. However, it doesn't exactly search as nicely as other databases do. It is basically the whole PDF of a multi-volume set of the Encyclopedia of Library and Information Sciences. And honestly, the easiest way to search this, luckily you would be searching for a known item. So you might be searching for something in terms of collection development or collection management or metadata. The easiest way to search on this one is either to scroll down until you find the article that your SLIM professor would like for you to read, or do Control F to find. And if you do that, you can just start typing in, I'm just going to do collection, and then I could just keep going here.
This database is
Yes.
called Encyclopedia of Library.
Encyclopedia of Library and Information Sciences. Yep, and I'll click back on that too. And again, this is one that you would probably wind up using if your SLIM professor assigns you to find and read a specific article from the encyclopedia. So if you had to find, for example, this specific article, Museum Collecting and Collections, it's actually easiest just to do Control F on this screen and type in the title of the article. And like I said, I do answer a lot of questions from SLIM students on this one. And then if you clicked on download, that would download the PDF article, no charge or anything like that, and then you could just go ahead and read that offline or save it. So like I said, I kind of wanted to spend a little bit of time on that one because that may be one that will come up in the next semester or so. So I'm going to go back over here to where I was on Library and Information Science. This is the one I'm going to spend our time with for today because this is the one that probably is going to be most key for what you have coming up this semester and then in your following semesters. And it's called Library and Information Science Source. And again, if I were doing this search at home, and for those of you in Colorado, you probably got a prompt as well if you're searching along with me to enter your ESU username and password. So again, don't be surprised. When you're searching at home, once you enter that information to authenticate you, as long as you stay in your browsing session and you don't actually exit your browser, you actually won't have to put that in again. So you can now navigate from one database to another without having to actually re-enter your ESU credentials. So a couple of ways that you can search on this. This will start you with a very basic search, but you actually always want to go to an advanced search first. Because the advanced search will let you do a lot of great limits that will really help you narrow and focus a search for a topic so that you're not going through a lot of extraneous information. So I'm going to show you, first of all, my favorite way of limiting. We are going to change this limit to abstract. Now the reason I did that is I'm going to do another broad search again for library instruction and assessment, or I could also do something like public libraries and programming. I could do a lot of different things. Since I'm doing a broad search by a keyword search, if I do not limit these keywords to searching within the abstracts of the articles, what would happen is that the database would think that I wanted all of those words appearing in the full text of all of these articles, and you're going to get overwhelmed. And you also may find a lot of articles that don't really relate to your topic, but they happen to mention your word. If you limit your search just to the keywords as they appear in abstracts of articles, you have a much better chance of getting a search that's more targeted, more narrowed, and more focused for your information need. First thing I always do. So I'm going to go here, and the first thing I'm going to start typing in is library instruction, but I'm going to pause here. Do you see where this is saying library instruction or information literacy or bibliographic instruction? This is actually one of my favorite things that a database will do. So you know in Google, when you start typing in a topic in Google and it kind of gives you some suggestions, this is what many databases will do. I use this heavily if I really want to explore all the different possibilities of my search, because this is going to give me synonyms, different words that have the same meaning that I might not have thought of otherwise. So we're going to do library instruction or information literacy or bibliographic instruction. That's kind of an older term. And we're going to put this with assessment. Again, I have my choice here. I could say that I want assessment or evaluation. And I want to narrow this a little bit more. So I might be more interested in undergraduate students. And I could just say I just want undergraduate students, or I could say undergraduate students or college students or university students. So for the purposes of this, I'm just going to say undergraduate students. I'm now going to scroll down here and build my search a little bit more. And I am going to show you a limit that is very tempting to do, but you don't want to do it. It is very tempting to say, I only want my results to be full text articles. Don't do that. And again, you might say, well, why would Cynthia suggest this? Because I want the full text, right? I want to be able to read these articles. The reason is that Library and Information Science Sources, like a lot of other databases, it's not 100% full text. However, there is a very good chance that you could find a citation or a reference for an article in this database that's actually available in another of our databases in full text, or it might be available online as an open access journal. So if I limit it to full text, I actually could wind up eliminating a lot of references that could be useful for my information need. So I never limit to that. But I do this. Usually, your SLIM professors are going to want you to find scholarly or peer-reviewed journals, academic journals. So I can limit just to scholarly or peer-reviewed journals. And that's all I'm going to do right now. And I'm going to go ahead and click on search. And since I limited to scholarly or peer-reviewed journals, I got a pretty reasonable number. I have 62 results. That's actually, to me, that's actually not a bad one at all. So my first article is indeed available in PDF full text. And I really love this. So I'm going to show you something else I really like to do. Are all of you fairly comfortable with using Google Drive for different things? Okay, so you do have access to Google Drive, again, through your g.emporia.edu account. Because of that, I could actually go over here to this little icon, which is a Google Drive icon. And again, I'm not going to do this because it might take a little bit too much time, but I did want you to be aware of the fact that, and I'm going to close this right now, that if I actually clicked on Google Drive, I could sign into my Google Drive account and I would actually wind up saving that entire PDF article. And the nice thing about that too is you could wind up setting up different folders or subfolders in Google Drive and organize your research for different classes. Something else you can do, and when I click on this, I'm going to ask you all in the Colorado group if you can see this, because I want to make sure you do. Okay. So in the Colorado group, are you seeing citation format toward the top of this screen?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so I wanted to show you that you can actually click on Cite for an article. This is actually an excellent example in more ways than one. I mentioned that you all are going to be using APA when you write your papers. Many databases will give you a cite or a citation tools feature, and you might be familiar with this if you've ever used something like Citation Machine or other freely available programs to generate citations. Here's the thing. This will generate an APA reference for this article. However, it is only as good as the metadata or the data that was embedded within the bibliographic record itself. When you take LI804, this is going to make a lot of sense as well. Because of that, this actually pulled in some different elements that we really don't want. So notice, for example, it pulled in email addresses. Okay, that's not part of the APA citation. But what we can do, at least, is copy the citation or copy the reference. I can at least copy and paste that into a working references list, and I can go back and I can edit it. It's still easier to do that than actually try to create that APA citation from scratch. So I do want to warn you that it does work, but you still do need to go ahead and proofread that. And I'm going to go ahead and close this. And I'm going to show you something else too. I'm actually not going to click on the back button, even though I want to go back to my search. I'm actually going to click on this link for result list. The reason that I don't want to click on that back button is, have you ever filled out forms online and then you click on the back button and it says you have to resubmit your information or resubmit your data? A database works the same way. So you do want to use the navigation tools within the database, like clicking back on the result list, and then that way you will not lose your search. So I mentioned that I did not limit this to full text. This is why I didn't. Record number 2 is an example of a record that doesn't automatically have the PDF full text. But I'm not going to give up hope just yet. So the next thing I want to show you is how I could actually see how I could find this article in another database or another resource through our library. So a couple of things I could do. And I usually do this first technique. And I would say about 90% of the time this works beautifully. So I always start with this one first. So notice that what I am doing is I copied the title of the article. If you don't already have an extra tab open back to Library Connect to the library's webpage, always keep an extra tab open there so you will not lose your search in different databases. Because now we're going to go to the Libraries plus Archives catalog. And I am going to paste the title of that article because this will pull in other databases. And again, we'll wait for this to kind of do its thing. Well, there is the record that I found. I'm going to see if it will let me actually get to the PDF if I click on this PDF. And we'll let this do its thing. And it worked. So that's why I don't limit just to full text in that particular database, because I was actually able to go back to the Libraries and Archives catalog, search by the title of the article, and it indeed pulled this in through another resource called Science Direct, which we also subscribe to. And then I could just also click on Download PDF, and I'd be good to go. So any questions on that? Okay, I'm going to go back over here. So I am going to, let's see. I'm going to close this one for now. I'm going to close this, and I'm going to go back to where I was here on my result list. I'm back in Library and Information Science Source. Okay, so I'm just going to say, for the sake of argument, let's just say for the sake of argument that I did that for this particular article, Potholes and Pitfalls on the Road to Authentic Assessment. I copied and pasted the title of that article. I didn't find it in full text anywhere in our library. It just simply was not available. That's when you would want to do the next step of interlibrary loan. And you can actually do this directly from a lot of our databases, including Library and Information Science Source. So I'm going to click on Interlibrary Loan. Okay. And again, in Colorado, are you seeing a screen that says Iliad and Iliad Logon?
Yes.
Awesome. So Iliad is actually our interlibrary loan system. You can log in again with your ESU credentials. So I'm going to do CKane1. I don't know why I came up with such a long password, but I did. Okay. Now, if you've never done interlibrary loan before through ESUs, well, and since many of you may be new students, you may not have done this before. The first time you do this, you're going to get a screen that will look like this. And it will actually just ask you to enter your personal information. You only have to do that one time, including your e-number. Do use your g.emporia.edu email. So I'm going to go back here. Okay. But the reason you want to do interlibrary loan through that interface, like through that database, see what it did? It filled out that form automatically for you, and you didn't have to copy and paste anything. Incredible time saver. So what I could do is I could go ahead and click on Submit Request. It'll usually take about maybe 1 to 2 business days for the PDF to be found from another library and then delivered automatically to your emporia.edu address. You do have to allow just a little bit of time for that, but if you have a research paper for another SLIM class, you can go ahead, start doing your research, do your interlibrary loan request, and then you've got your research built up. So does that kind of make sense? Okay. I'm going to close this because I do want to see, and then I want to allow time for both groups to ask questions that I didn't necessarily have a chance to cover. I'm going to try my sign in again because this is my sign in again for my EBSCOhost account that I was trying to do earlier. And I'm going to see if it decides to work. And if it doesn't, I'm going to show you a workaround. One thing that I'm sure Dr. Fay and Dr. Howard will tell both of your groups, and I have certainly learned this over the years, is that you always want plan A, plan B, and sometimes plan C. So sometimes you have to have different workarounds. So I could try to sign in again. It's probably going to prompt me to do that text. Since I am using a new computer. And if it does that again, okay, yeah, I don't want to do that. Okay, so what would happen is if I signed in with my EBSCOhost account, and again, I'm just going to go back and back and back again. You don't actually have to create an EBSCOhost account, but if you do, it will actually let you go ahead and save any articles until you decide to delete them from your EBSCOhost account. However, even if you're not signed into your EBSCOhost account, you can still go ahead and save articles. I do want to show you that as well. So what I'm going to do here is click on this little folder icon. And I think I'll do maybe about 4 of these. And now it shows that I have something in my folder, and folder has items. I will often do this because I'm sure that you all are going to be like me. You may not have that much time to do research. You have to sort of fit it in with everything else that you're doing. So if I have like 15 minutes, maybe max, to do my research, I'll go into a database, find some articles that I want to review later on, and I can save them or email them to myself so I've got some time later on to review them. And this is an incredible time saver. So what I'm doing here is I actually wound up marking 4 articles. I could go over here to email, and I could email those to myself. And if I do that, if they have the PDFs will be also emailed to me as a separate attachment. So it's another good way of getting those articles, and then that way you can just go ahead and take a look at those later on. Or like I said, you can save the full text of articles and citations to your Google Drive. I would say one advantage of doing this is that if you email this to yourself, you can go over here and say that you want your citations or references for these articles to be included in your email in APA. So that's another way that you can do the APA style. They will appear as kind of a separate bibliography at the end, usually at the end of your email is what I found. I'm going to give you kind of a hint though. You don't have to put a subject line in here if you're emailing from this database, but I highly recommend that you do. It can just be test 1, research. The reason is that sometimes spam filters on email systems are set rather high. And I have found with some students that if we don't put a subject line in there, it thinks that EP host at epnet.com, it thinks that it's a spam email, and you think it never got to you, but it's in your spam filter. For some reason, if you put a subject line in, I have no idea why, but if you put a subject line in, it'll kind of bypass that spam filter. So kind of just a weird little quirk. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and close this. Actually, I'm going to go back over here. Okay. I did want to show you one more guide here, and then we've got a pretty good chunk of time for some questions. I went back to the library's homepage, the Library Connect, and I'm going to go to Research Guides. And the reason I'm doing that is that we have a variety of research guides for a lot of different topics and a lot of different subjects. When you all get ready to take LI802, if you're taking it right now, you're going to be asked to create a research or a reference guide on a particular audience to kind of give them a guide or an overview for a topic or a subject. I have done one for library and information management resources. And the address for that is up here, libguides.emporia.edu/slim. Everything that I've covered, and actually quite a bit more sometimes if we don't have time to cover, is in this guide. So if you ever needed a quick refresher on how to start your research, finding books, finding articles, the things that we went over, doing interlibrary loan, and also a quick link here on some shortcuts for APA citation and writing help. I'll go ahead and click on that. That's all in this research guide. We do not have time, and it's kind of overwhelming with this class that you're kind of in your first weekend, but if you have any questions, any follow-up questions about APA style or writing papers in APA, I would be more than happy to do a research appointment with any of you for a resource that we have also through our databases, which is called Academic Writer. This is directly from APA. It will help you create references in APA style, but it also contains some wonderful paper templates that you can use to write your paper correctly formatted for APA style. It's just an incredible resource, and it is available to you freely as Emporia State University students. So let me know if you'd ever be interested in that, and I'd be happy to work with you all on that. Okay, done a lot of talking. I need to shut up. What questions do you have from Colorado or here in Overland Park that I haven't had a chance to cover yet?
Or say it loud enough. We have one here, Cynthia.
Oh, awesome.
For the EBSCO account, should I use my personal email or the Emporia email?
Okay, is that for the EBSCOhost account? Yeah. Okay, that's a very good question. So if you're creating an EBSCOhost account, I would go ahead and use the g.emporia.edu address to create your account. Now, having said that, you can either use that Google link to sign in directly with your g.emporia.edu account, or you could create an account with your g.emporia.edu account, but you could also use a different password if for some reason you wanted to use a different password. But I would go ahead and do the g.emporia.edu account. I have found that it does work with like different types of email addresses, so you could try that with a different email address. I just tend to do my emporia.edu because it's connected to what I'm doing in research. So kind of either one, but my preference is for the emporia.edu.
Other questions?
Okay. Oh, we have a question from here in Overland Park too.
And it might just be relevant to
Okay.
here in Overland
Yeah.
Park, but like if I happen to be in Emporia and wanted to physically walk into the library and check out a book, how do I need a card? Can I?
Oh, I am.
do
This
that?
is a great question. So the question from Overland Park, and I hope that people in Colorado can visit Emporia one of these days too, is if I just happen to be in Emporia and I wanted to come into the library, what would I need to check out a book? And I just physically come into the library and so forth. The answer to all the above is yes, we would love to see you. That would be fantastic. I believe you all may have or are in the process of getting your Hornet ID cards. Okay. If you do not, if you were physically in the library, in the Emporia library, your Hornet ID card is actually your library card. So that's what we use for the students on the Emporia campus to check out materials. Having said that, again, if we mail any books to you, basically we're checking those out to you as an Emporia State University student. So, you know, you don't have to like scan a copy or anything like that. We would love to have you in the library. Since we are a state university campus and we're also a government documents depository, we are open to anybody walking in. So no restrictions or anything like that. Just come on in. And if you come up to the second floor of the library, that's where my office is. So I'd love to see people. That'd be great. Okay, does that help?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have another question, Cynthia.
Absolutely.
To sign up for Academic Writer, can we just use our?
Oh, let me show you very quickly. Okay, so the question is signing up for Academic Writer. We've got a little chunk of time here, so let me show you that if I may. I'm just a huge proponent of Academic Writer because it just makes your life so much easier when it comes to APA style. By the way, I will send out information to Dr. Howard and then to Dr. Fay as well. In a few weeks on a Sunday, I don't remember the exact date, but it's on a Sunday evening in February, I'm going to be doing a workshop at the Emporia Library, at the campus library on Academic Writer, but you can also participate virtually through Zoom. So I'll make sure that you all have that link. If you'd like to do that, it's like at 7 p.m. It would be 7 p.m. Central Time, so it'd be 6 p.m. Mountain Time. But I'd love to have you all participate. That would be fantastic. So back on the databases, Academic Writer. And again, if I were at home, I'd be signing in with my Emporia credentials. What you have to do on Academic Writer is click on Welcome and Log In. And you do have to create a free account with Academic Writer in order to access everything in the database. This is actually not your Emporia credentials, by the way. This is something you would just go ahead and create an account. And I'm going to take a chance and see if I can remember my password. I am as bad as anybody else. At my computer at work, I have all my passwords saved, and then I'm like, oh, gee, I don't remember what that password was. I think that was, I remembered it. Yes, wonderful. Okay, so you do have to create a free account for Academic Writer, but once you do that, it'll say welcome with your name. And the 3 centers are Learn, Reference, and Write. So if you click on Learn, Learn will give you quick guides, like quick videos, kind of similar to YouTube videos if you have to remember how to do a citation or something like that. And they also have sample references. So if I needed to remember how to do a sample APA reference for an authored book in print, that'll give me that sample reference. So really nice to be able to do. The Reference Center will actually let you add references. Again, in the interest of time, I won't try to do that right now, but let me know if you're interested. And the reason you would want to add your references is for the third one, your Write Center. And this is where you can start a new paper or you can work on a saved paper. Just real quickly, I'll show you one that I used for an art therapy class. I'm also the librarian liaison for counselor education and psychology. So this is why I teach this one a lot. So the Write Center will let you select a paper template like a general paper, and it will automatically be formatted with Times New Roman, 12-point, 1-inch margins, everything else. It will let you put in a running head, it will let you put in your abstract, and will let you integrate your references and your in-text citations. And then once you finish writing your paper, it's saved in your account. You can export your paper as a Word document or a PDF, and then go ahead and submit that to your instructor. And I apologize because I know that's a really quick overview, but I would love to have you all learn a little bit more about Academic Writer. So, I'm actually going to go ahead and wrap up now because since I'm here in Overland Park, I'm taking advantage of being here. I'm just going to hop a few short steps next door, and I'm doing a presentation for Dr. Dow's LI802 class on Reference and Information Systems. I hope this has been useful. Colorado, hopefully has this been good for you all?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Oh, you're so welcome. And Overland Park, hopefully this has been useful for you all. Okay. So while I'm thinking about this, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.